This is IBM Museum. I know I dropped that teaser just a week ago, talked about showing off this board that's just the fabulous thing for the Mall 25 and Mall 30. And I talked about reviving my channel, and then people haven't heard from me because I've experienced some technical difficulties. I'll get turned around and show you part of the problem that I had to deal with just to get up to this level of making a video. And you can see behind me of the stuff on the bench. I've got different projects queued up, waiting to continue. But let me get turned around and kind of show a little bit more of what's going on here. So in the center of my bench in the back, kind of hidden away, is my Clear Click Platinum device. And I really recommend this device before. People have gone with those recommendations to get this unit. It's on Amazon, it's about 150 bucks. It's higher price actually from the manufacturer, about 175. I'll give a link to it, but it does have one problem with it. And I use it for the camcorder input. It does HDMI input. It does VGA input that you've seen on my systems. I can connect up through there, and I can even switch between the VGA and the HDMI input real quickly from the remote. It's got a real nice remote. I don't want to touch back here too much, which I'll explain in a moment. But that's the remote. I can off screen. I can go through and change over things. Now, those connections on the back are fairly loose. They're actually an HDMI style for, I mean, it's HDMI in reality for the input of the camcorder and for the HDMI out to the monitor that's just out of frame that I can go through and know what is actually in frame from the camcorder real easily just by looking off to the side. So, but the center connection is using an HDMI style connector, and I'll show a little bit more detail in this of this in a moment. It's got that's where the VGA in, the component in, the composite in, all those inputs are put onto an HDMI style adapter to do a connection in, and those things are just so sloppy. I want to go through and pin them into there, and I'll show the solution I've done. Now, one of the worst connections that I really don't like on it is the micro USB, and that is for going to the computer. And I'll just show what I have to do here in a moment once I get turned back around. But with it loose, it goes through and causes the computer to have trouble on that USB connection that comes in. So it'll give unidentified device, and it'll go through and you'll hear the sound for the USB connecting and the USB disconnecting. So let me get turned back around, and I careful just not to bump anything at all. You can see the cables I even have that I strung towards the front because I did not want to in any way disturb what I've got behind. Now, I've been making some changes to my monitor and things like that behind the screen as well. In the past, I had a little Think Center system, small form factor. I apologize. Besides the bee flying around the screensaver, I've got bugs and everything else. It's a little bit warm in here. I've had to turn off the cooler to go through and do the video as well. So there's just issues all around. But what I had to do with this, and it's that micro USB connection over on the left that I just had to cable tied down off in a position that it was in there making good contact. On my circuit board, there's actually the connector is good. I mean, I went inside and investigated the unit. today. Open it up, real easy to do that. But and that's why I was very glad, because I was expecting to see the micro USB connector, as happens a lot of the time, separate from that PCB, that I was worried that I have to solder it back down or something else, which is very delicate work. Well, the connector's there. It's just a little bit skewed on the PCB, um, and it seems like it's sloppy more on one side. And so I want to go through and I want to tack these cables down a little bit better. Now you can see the twisted vine logos of the little L units, so little right angle elbows that connect into those HDMI and HDMI style connection. The middle connection is the one that the VGA and composite component is on. The two outside, the one on the right is the HDMI in from in this case, my camcorder, and the one on the left, just to the right of that micro USB, is the HDMI out. And then furthest over on the right is the power plug. And the power plug is the only thing that I really don't have as a right angle. I've ordered up a replacement cable micro USB that goes off at an angle, that I believe I can go through and work with. And it's just a short lead. I believe I can go through and tack those down. Now, on the documentation, it said that that's USB 3, but it's a micro USB connector. So it's not going to be. It's going to be USB 2. In fact, that's a lot of time why I recommend this unit, because USB 2 is sufficient for the bandwidth of that device, and can go through and you can connect it up to an older system that doesn't necessarily have USB 3. But hopefully I've got things arranged at the moment that I can go through and do enough videos without necessarily having to disturb this or monkey around with this a little bit more, because it was just crazy. And to compound that, once I was getting things fixed, then I was having my OBS. And OBS is a free video recording software that many YouTubers, I haven't encountered a YouTuber that is not going through and using the OBS, and it's free for one. That's why it gets a lot of use. The aspect of it said that you get what you pay for, and I was using an old installation of OBS, and with it crashing, I thought, well, I'll go through and I can upgrade. I can go to the later version. It was like 5 major upgrade versions, because a lot of time with OBS, if you get something working on it, stick with it. Don't try and do any of the upgrades or anything like that, patches or anything else to OBS to get it working. If to stay on the upgrade kick or anything else, you get it working, just leave it like it is. I went through and I did try and upgrade my OBS. And then with my older system, it wouldn't work for the streaming side. Talked about my video adapter on my laptop. And that's fine. I recognize it's an older laptop, sufficient in this case. But I went back through, and thankfully I had the old version downloaded that I had installed before, and went through and did that, and it was still going through and crashing. The new version was crashing, the old version, and I think it was actually that the ClearClick inputs, it had installed a second source entry, and I think that was causing confusion with the OBS. And I'd go through to remove the input, and OBS would crash before I could get it removed. And I finally was successful in that original OBS to go through and get that duplicate entry removed as I went through, and I removed some other entries before that were sources that I haven't used in a while, just to get things a little bit more basic, just to get things running. And I was finally able to get it going with enough dependability that I can maybe relax. But anyone that knows for those technical issues of how going through on and just having to fool with something, how much time that consumes, and can problems, and it just goes through and cascades from there, for me having that USB input issue to OBS crashing. So, but at least I've got things running. I'll try and continue the videos of what it can do here. Since I'm, as you see on the bench, I'm queued up for other things, other video ideas I've got in the pipeline, and I want to get those kicked out. So hopefully I'll be able to do that and won't experience too much more technical difficulties. Just wanted to pass along a little bit of the update, but that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.